Hi, today is December 3rd, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 1929 for the year Emergency Room. My mom went to the emergency room the night before last, and all I got was this lousy sticker. She's fine. It was a minor thing, but my brother did the right thing and called for an ambulance. I joined him there, but I was an asshole about it, because I'm an asshole sometimes. After my mom got home, I headed for the subway back uptown, and I noticed I still had the visitor's pass sticker on my coat, so I stuck it on a subway tile and took a picture to remember the magic of the emergency room. Then I threw the sticker away. Poem number 1930, A Little Assholishness. It's actually good that in the emergency room no one seemed to be acting like it was an emergency. Everyone seemed calm as they went about their tasks. If things seemed to move more slowly than I might have liked, I ought to have kept in mind that administrating an emergency room is not as easy as what I do for a living. On the other hand, I tell myself that my squeaky willness may have helped get Mama out of there a bit quicker. And if that seems selfish, I can tell myself that it's good that the ER got that bed back a little quicker in case they needed it for someone else. Sometimes a little assholishness is just what the doctor ordered. Poem number 1931, The Perfect Time. A couple of times my mama said that it was a shame that this happened around the holidays. And what happened was she went to the ER because she got a nosebleed and had a momentary episode of dizziness. She almost seemed guilty about what had happened, and I said, "But it's not the holidays. If this had happened a week ago yesterday, you could have ruined Thanksgiving, and we're nowhere near Christmas yet. This was actually an excellent time for this to have happened." This made her smile and maybe even laugh a little, and that's when I became certain that she was going to be all right. Poem number 1932, My Mom and 1932. Speaking of my mama and 1932, my mama was born in 1932. When I was 9 or 10, 1932 seemed like a million years ago. Now it doesn't seem so long ago at all. In 1976, when the country turned 200, that seemed very old to me. Now this country seems like a baby. I wish this country would grow the fuck up. That poem probably should have a different title. Poem number 1933, The Tail Ends, or Vanity. When I told my daughter that Eisenhower was the president when I was born, she was like, "Wow, I didn't mention that Kennedy became president before I was 5 months old, because leaving that detail out suggests that I could have been born as early as 1953. My mom has the same thing. When she was born, Hoover was still president, but Roosevelt had already been elected. Both my mama and me were born on the tail end of presidencies. When we tell people that, it makes us seem even younger for our ages than we already look. Right? Don't I look young for my age? Right? I look young for my age, don't I? How come you're not saying it? I fucked that one up. Let me try again. Poem number 1933, The Tail Ends, or Vanity. When I told my daughter that Eisenhower was the president when I was born, she was like, "Wow, I didn't mention that Kennedy became president before I was 5 months old, because leaving that detail out suggests that I could have been born as early as 1953. My mom has the same thing. When she was born, Hoover was still president, but Roosevelt had already been elected. Both my mama and me were born on the tail end of presidencies. When we tell people that, it makes us seem even younger for our ages than we already look. Right? I look young for my age, don't I? How come you're not saying anything?" Poem number 1934, Within the Self. Stay within yourself, the instructor said, as if that's an easy place to be, as if that's a place I would want to be, as if I haven't been spending decades hoping to be freed from the bondage of self, as if there even is a self, as if the self isn't a construct of the mind, as if the illusion of separation ought to be embraced rather than dispelled. But I gave it a try, and for a short time I stayed within myself, and it turned out to be less unpleasant and fraught, and less frightening and fucked than I had imagined it would have been. Sometimes the self is bondage, but sometimes it's just what the doctor ordered. And the last poem of the day, poem number 1935, A Little More Assholishness. I was going to write, "In the self, there's 1,000 things I want to say to me." But first I looked up the song I stole that line from, and I went down a mini rabbit hole reading about what happened after Sid Vicious, whose name I just accidentally wrote as Sid Viscous, which amused me, stole the bass line from that same song. Sid was at the Speakeasy on Marlborough Street and went up to Paul Weller and bragged to him about stealing his song. Paul claims he knew that Sid had ripped off In the City for the Pistol song Holidays in the Sun and didn't care. But then Sid headbutted Paul, and then Paul kicked Sid's ass. Sometimes a little assholishness is just what the doctor ordered, but sometimes it will land you in hospital. All right, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I said in hospital like they do in Britain, so, because, Anyway, I appreciate you.